Sorry guys, that was just a test. We're going back to the hold side. Okay, man, sorry.
Regains his Betfair crown. Off the coin. Wins for the first time. Grenadine pinches the prize off the mantelpiece. A double for Jamie Hamilton. Halcyon Days has won it. All action here. All Mankind wins the Kingmaker.
Goshen cruising to victory in the Betway Kingwell Hurdle.
I cherish Liverpool and that wonderful Grand National Week.
Not a chance. Wins the Warwick Classic.
It's been Irish winner after Irish winner.
Honeysuckle climbed right to the top and won the Unibet Champion Hurdle. A fifth Cheltenham Festival success for Tiger Roll.
The emphatic winner, the brilliant winner, Allaho.
Put the kettle on for a win, the Queen Mother. Flat out, Vanilla Indo wins the Gold Cup. Henry de Bromhead wins the Holy Trinity of big races, something no other trainer has ever done.
For the 2020 Randox Grand National.
Up front is Cloth Cap on the inside of
Jet and Samuel Cohen in a clear lead.
Manila Times is handy in the green, and it's Jet that continues.
Jet's about to be joined by Manila Times.
But it's Rachel Blackmore and Meteor are out 4 lengths clear of Balco de Flo at any second. Manila Times for J.P. McManus and more significantly Rachel Blackmore. History in the national. Manila Times wins.
Put your hands together for Rachel Blackmore.
Hello and welcome to the official Cheltenham Racecourse Season Preview. I'm Joshua Stacey and I'm joined by 4 fantastic guests, and it's our mission over the next 45 minutes to whet your appetite for the return of action at the home of Jumps Racing. We will be going through the showcase meeting. We've got racing on Friday and Saturday, hopefully highlighting some horses that will be bounding at clear up that hill this week. And we'll also be looking ahead to the big races between now and New Year's, including the Cheltenham Chase, the Betfair Chase and the King George, before we delve into some of the biggest yards in the country. Joining me tonight, he's called some of the great races around Cheltenham. A warm welcome to ITV Racing and Racing TV's finest, Richard Hoiles.
Hi Josh, how are you, right?
Yeah, very good, thanks. A farming man first and a jockey second. It's actually quite annoying how good and successful this next guest has made his part-time job. Coming off the back of a great season, Harry Cobden.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. And if you had a spare few hours, you could probably walk from Cheltenham to the stable of our next guest. A local and top trainer, Ben Pauling, joins us.
Hi Josh, how you doing?
Yeah, very good. And 152 winners and a champion jockey's title later. Harry Skelton joins us as our final guest. Harry, I'll start with you. I suppose winning the championship has become maybe a slight hindrance when booking extra baggage flying because you've got so much room for that trophy.
Good evening. It's a trophy. Very nice one, and one that I've always wanted to sort of get my hands on.
Over the summer, did you kind of reflect on last season, or are you still full focus onto the next campaign?
Yeah, obviously for everyone to see, we haven't had that many runners and haven't really been that very busy by design. Really, we just haven't had them summer horses in like we'd had in years gone by. But we're full up now, 150 to go out in the winter, and yeah, we're really looking forward to that.
I watched with envy on your Instagram pictures in the south of France. It was glorious. The lads will be the lads will be keen to know the latest ground conditions. We caught up with Simon Clace today.
Hi Josh, hi everybody, and welcome to the preview evening. I'm sure you'll have a most informative evening. I'm standing on the course at 3 o'clock, and I don't think I've seen it look any better in 22 years here as it does at the moment. The ground staff have done a wonderful job. We had a tidy amount of rain overnight last night, which has left the course good, probably on the slower side. There may be a little bit more rain to come in the next couple of days, a few showers, but then Friday and Saturday are looking dry. The excitement will really begin to build here when tonight the first of 11 horses from Ireland declared out of the 67 for Friday arrive, and we're looking forward to seeing them out on the gallops on Thursday before racing kicks off on Friday afternoon. We can't wait for the action to get started.
So we're going to have a scan through the next 2 days of racing on Friday and Saturday at Cheltenham, and the first race is the 2.5 mile Ballymore Novices Hurdle. Richard, I wanted to come to you. 2 of the 5 runners are Irish raiders. Why do you think the Irish earmarked this meeting in particular to send over all horses to Cheltenham?
I think they get going a little bit earlier. I mean, the 2 Harrys might have a better version, but I'm trying to keep tabs on the graded races a little bit more this year. And, you know, in Ireland, they're already sort of up and running. So I suppose if you're dealing with a summer programme that deals with better quality horses, then this is an obvious target, both in terms of prize money and prestige. And obviously in Gordon Elliott's case, he would be very keen to restamp his name in racing headlines as well. So I think particularly off your Rocco is a very interesting horse to come over. He and Campron are probably the 2 likely winners of that particular contest. Campron jumped so much better at Chepstow than I'd seen him last year when he'd been, I think he was Dickie Johnson's last ever winner. And he clattered his way around Taunton and won despite his jumping. So it was good to see him jump a lot better. But I think from an Irish point of view, they just get going that little bit earlier. You know, we've been talking about races at Worcester and Fontwell today. The ground is only just turning over here, and you're still getting a lot of the summer horses that have got sequences still trying to win the last 1 or 2. But inspection at Newton Abbot tomorrow, and it's hammering down with me here. So I think we're going to get our ground changing pretty swiftly.
Campron was an impressive winner of the Persian War. Ben, you saw that race. What did you make of the winner? And do you think that he can climb through the ranks and become potentially a candidate for the Ballymore?
Yeah, I mean, it's very early to say. A lot changes with these novice hurdlers as the season goes on. But you know, it was a good display at Chepstow, and one that probably stand him in good stead to run some of the better races from here on in. But I think picking a Ballymore winner at this stage in the season would be quite tricky.
Interesting clash to start the meeting. Harry Cobden, Fidelio Vallis goes in the 2 miles squareintheair.com Novices Chase. He brought up a string of 4 wins from March to May. He didn't do an awful lot wrong when second to T Clipper at Chepstow. Would you go there with a good chance?
Yeah, I'm quite pleased with him. I think Paul thinks he'll come on a lot from his last run. He obviously jumps very well. He's quite a free-going type. He wouldn't want the ground too soft, so hopefully we don't have too much rain there. But he's got a good chance. I'm looking forward to riding him. And
he goes up against Third Time Lucky, at a horse that I'm very fond of. Harry, last season he notched up a good few wins in novice hurdles. He was slightly disappointing at the big festivals, but have you always seen him as a chaser in the making? Do you think that fences can eke out improvement?
Yeah, for sure. Like, he's quite a big horse, and we always hope that he'd be a better chaser than the hurdler. So yeah, we're looking forward to going chasing them.
How's he schooled at home?
Yeah, we've been very happy with him. Done plenty, and no, he's done everything we've asked. So no, we're looking forward to it. Just, you know, hopefully it's proper good ground on the day. To be honest, last year he was quite busy, probably running too often, to be honest, and just probably didn't perform like he probably could have done at Cheltenham and Aintree. That was the back end of a busy year, so I wouldn't read into his form too much towards the end of the year. But he's been schooling well, so we look forward to get going.
A very exciting novice chaser for the upcoming season. Ben, you've got one runner on the Friday. Is it Mr. Watson in the maiden hurdle?
Yeah, to be honest, we'll probably take him there, and it'll have to be slow-sided good to run him. He's one of those second season novices that didn't really put a sequence of decent races together, but shows snippets of decent form in dispatches. And I had a horse similar to him last year that went on to win the Grade 2 up at Donny. So, he might just be a nice novice hurdler for this year. And obviously being a maiden still, he's got, plenty of experience. So I'd like to run him there. The track would suit, but I'm afraid we might not see enough rain.
Does his future lie over further then?
I think his future, every time I've stepped him up to 2.5, he doesn't seem to perform as well. But I think his future lies over fences. But if he's looking like becoming a better novice this season, or decent novice, then he might stay over hurdles. But yeah, I'm sure 2.5 is well within his remit at some point. But he is a nice horse, and I think he's probably got plenty of a nice future ahead of him.
Very, very best of luck with him if he does run. Harry Skelton, you've got a few other rides on Friday as well. Favour in the handicap chase, and John Locke, who's fascinating actually in the maiden hurdle, ran twice for you, once in a Grade 2 Adonis and then in a Grade 1 at Aintree. Was that intentional? Did you want to run him in those tough races so then he keeps his novice status this year?
Well, yeah, he's shown quite a high level of form on the flat, hadn't he? And to be honest, by the time he was sort of making his debut, it's, towards the new year in February. So it'd been silly to just sort of turn up in a low key novice and lose his novice status. So yeah, we went in at the deep end, travelled quite well at Kempton, and probably just weakened out of it late on. And then he ran okay to a point at Aintree. Had a wind up since, been done, loads of work, and he won't mind the good ground, so yeah, he'll run.
And Favour in the handicap chase, he obviously made a striking impression at Uttoxeter on his chasing debut. Do you think he can kick on? And interesting, this is over half a mile further. Was there no worries about the trip, or would that be a step into the unknown?
No, I think the trip will be fine. He's winning a point to point. He has got beat the 2 years that we've had him. He's got beat first time out. He always takes a bit of a run, but this class came to the fore on his chase debut, Uttoxeter, under Bridget, and he's a horse who doesn't really show you an awful lot at home and saves it for the track. So hence why he was so busy last year. He just he always has a bit left up his sleeve. He never gets to the bottom of him really, which is quite a good thing in a racehorse. He's talented and he's in good form. So, but it's have to be proper. Like Ben's mentioned there, it's going to have to be proper good ground. Really to see to see these horses.
Third time lucky, Favour and John Locke, the 3 rides on the Friday. Which one out of those 3 would you go there with the most confidence?
Well, I'd like to think probably with a nice clear round, jump in. He looks well in at the weights, so I'd probably side, just with third time lucky. He's obviously getting the weight from Harry's horse. He's done plenty of work. Fitness won't be an issue, I don't think. It's a big ask going to Cheltenham first time in novice chase, but this is what the sort of the format. The racing programme, the calendar that we've been forced into a little bit. There's very few novice chases for these horses, and you're pushed into, making your debut at somewhere like this. It's not ideal. We'd like to get a run in at a smaller track first, but it is what it is. And he's in good form, so we're going.
No, it's brilliant to see him make his chasing debut at such a big stage. Harry Cobden, you've got plenty of rides on the Friday. I might butcher this pronunciation. Grace Evuenki in the 3 mile novices hurdle. How would they go?
Yeah, he's got a nice horse. He ran at Worcester. I think he'll come on a lot for it. It was a bit of a messy race actually the other day. It was slowly run race. No one really wanted to make the run in, and I just hacked around in front, and yeah, wasn't my finest moment in the saddle. So he should improve massively for that. He's a nice horse going the right way. He's very straightforward. He's actually he's already won over fences in France, so I wouldn't be afraid to make plenty of use of him.
Danny Kerwin making his chasing debut. I'm surprised it's taken this long for him to make his chasing debut. He seems like an enormous horse. Are you excited to get on him?
Yeah, looking forward to him. I mean, I think 2.5's his trip. he wants fairly decent ground. He wouldn't want it too soft. He's scored very well, and I think he's off a nice mark of 133. So, I think I'll be disappointed if he didn't run well.
Would he be the best chance of the day out of Saint Sonic, Greater Vuenki, and Fidelio Vallis?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to him because he's showing all the right signs at home. And the only thing is, he's quite a stuffy horse. He might just take his first run a little bit, but I'm looking forward to him. I think he's got a good chance.
Looking forward to it. Richard, have you got any fancies for us on the Friday?
There's a couple of horses that are of interest, I think. I'm not sure whether it'll be for Friday, but Cool Cody is quite interesting because he comes to hand quite early. He loves it round there, and he might need a bit more rain over hurdles. Isabel Williams rides for Evan, but it could be just putting him right for one of those 2.5 mile handicaps, which of course there are plenty of for Cheltenham throughout the season. So I think he might be yours to keep an eye on. There's also Marquis of Carabas, who the eye-catching bookie of Derek O'Connor, I think is quite significant. He's come off a long break, first run for Fergal O'Brien. And he is very well treated on some of his old form. The handicapper appears to have been pretty lenient with him. So both of those are interesting. And a horse I saw win a bumper last year called Go Dante, who was in the maiden hurdle, which is strong, to be honest. So it's this sort of crossover period, I think. Now, Harry Skelton, you've been riding a little bit, obviously the last few weeks, but are we still talking about the summer jumping horses come this time of year, or do you think that the better ones are now just going to sort of beat them, if you like?
Well, I think if you've had a run and you're having a second, you've managed to get that run in at this time of year, it does come in quite handy, where the ground's been, a bit quick in places and people haven't run. So if you've managed to get a run in, it does, it's a big thing. But yeah, like as you see in the first race there, they've all been running all summer, so no one's really. We need a bit of rain. I know we were at Worcester today. It was soft old ground, but they've been watering all summer. We've had a lot of rain here today. You could probably go to somewhere like Warwick. It'd be good. It's going to take a while now before it proper softens up, especially these winter tracks.
Harry, Cobden's got a few interesting rides on the Saturday. A Samurai, obviously you don't ride him, it's in the amateur hurdles race, but how would he go at home? I know Lorcan Williams takes a ride.
Yeah, he's a really nice horse actually. Scores very well, very straightforward, and to be honest with you, he would have physically filled out a lot from last season. He always looked a nice horse last year, but he really impressed me when he won at Kempton, and he's improved massively through the summer, and he's quite smart. I like him a lot.
We've not yet got the declarations for Saturday, but there's a few entered for Paul. Trucker's Lodge, Magic Saint, Storm Arising, Rhythm is a Dancer, and Barbados Bucks in the Novice Chase. Which out of those do you think would definitely run?
To be honest with you, I wouldn't know yet. I wouldn't have a clue what his plans are.
If they were all to run, which one would you be most excited to sit on?
Barbados Bucks. I mean, he's a sort of proper chasing type, big horse. Hurdles really got in his way, and I think he'll transform when he goes jumping fences.
And Harry Skelton, likewise, West of the Bridge entered, Stephanie Causeway entered, Hatcher, Spirit of the Game, Shannon Bridge. Which ones of those are likely to run on Saturday?
Well, I can tell you definitely Stephanie Causeway will run. He's getting £8 off Tritonic and Zanna here. So it puts him in there with a little chance. It's difficult now this time of year for 4-year-olds. It's the last chance they get to run against their age before they take on the older horses with no allowance, and then it becomes difficult. So he'll definitely run. He's done loads of work. He's in good form. There won't be many excuses. Hatcher will definitely run. He'll enjoy the ground, but he's run off a mark of 150. Had a good summer, but running off 150. It's a big ask. I think he's probably done his winning, and the handicapper has had his say. Be unsure about the others, whether they run.
What about your two trainers, Harry's? Come on, you're being all nice and calm and everything, but Harry, is Paul sweating up? Is he, pacing his box, anxious to get them all out there? Is Dan sort of, likewise? Are you two ready to start firing in those horses? What's it like at home at the moment?
Well, Mr. Nichols is he was actually at Worcester today. He had 2 exciting new horses running, and so he's certainly got the fire in his belly, and he's raring to go. And we've just got to. I suppose I've just got to try my best to get it right all the time and keep the winners rolling in.
Dan, well up for it, Harry. Come on, you two, you're all very nice, Paul and Dan, but underneath it, there's got to be a little bit of rivalry there somewhere.
Oh, of course there is. It's sport. It's we want to beat everyone, and they'll probably want to beat us. But no, we're raring to go. It's frustrating. We've got a lot of horses ready to run. I'll be honest, we never really have non-runners. And we went up to Wetherby the other day, had 3 runners. We all wanted to run them all, and I'm afraid we couldn't run them. So it's frustrating that we've got plenty to get going, and without the rain, we can't really run the wrong ones. So we're ready to go, and if we get a bit of rain, hopefully we can kick on then.
I'm looking forward to it big time. It's just that exciting time of the year where all the big horses are coming out. And
Josh, you've been given a short. Come on, you can't get away with this. I know.
I'm trying to duck and dive.
Resenta gets away with everything because he asked everybody else, and he never tips a horse. We tip loads of losers, and you tip one. So give us one for Friday or Saturday.
I've got 2 for Friday. One would be Annual Invictus in the 2.5 mile handicap chase. He finished second to Harry's horse, Favois, at Utoxeter. I just think he looked like he was screaming for the extra half a mile, and he jumped well other than the first. I suspect he'll go close. And then one for Christian Williams in the amateur handicap chase. Rob James, I think, is booked. The Future is Bright. I thought he was unlucky when beating a short margin at Haydock. I think he's better than 1:13. And he had a nice time behind Brave Man's Game. I don't think he was ever going to get near that day at Neaton Abbott. But I do think they've had this in mind. So The Future is Bright. Hopefully, as a nice each-way play. I've got one for Saturday, but I'll keep that for later as well. But yeah, there you go. You've got it out of me. Massively looking forward to the season. We've had a few questions in, actually. This one's for Ben. This comes from Joe Nathan on Twitter. He says, will Ben be using Luca Morgan a lot more this season? He put a lot of faith in him with the Your Darling ride. I noticed him last season and put him up as one to follow.
Yeah, no, it's we've changed things around a bit at home with jockeys this year. Ever since I've been training, we've sort of had Nico, Darryl and David riding, and it's been great, and they've been huge help the whole way. But all 3 of them have either retained jobs or first stables other than ours, and it was just getting a bit tedious not being able to pinpoint horses for races guaranteed to get who you wanted. So we've actually appointed Keelan Woods this year as our stable jockey, a guy who is a great horseman, a really good guy to work with, and already is paying dividends, I think, with the way the horses are running, the way we're planning, and I'm really happy with things going forward. But very much in behind him is going to be Luca, who is very good value for his £5 claim. And you'll be seeing him used very much as a second jockey. He won't be sort of in behind the others that we have used in the past. So between Keelan and Luca, they will ride the majority, and obviously we've got the other guys if needed at tracks where we're short.
Plenty of change at the stable of Ben Paul, and we've got some nice pictures of the new yard later. But first, we did go out and reach to some top trainers about their horses to follow. And first of all, we have Nicky Henderson's horses to follow. Hopefully we've got a graphic soon. There we are. So Nicky Henderson's horses to follow. 3 surefire winners, Mr. Coffee, Fable and Gallyhill. His dark horse would be Blair Gowrie, and one he'd like to train, interestingly, is Energumene. Richard, I can see you smiling. Obviously, he trained Shishkin at his Champion Chase Hope, and Energumene looks, out of the novices of last year, the big danger to him. Do you find that interesting that he'd like to train him?
Yeah, because surely you just walk the course beforehand and say it didn't suit. Just leave it for Shishkin. I want to train it as well. Have both of them, then it works perfectly. Shame we never really got to see that clash, actually, because that would be, it's what people look forward to, as Harry was saying, the better horses beginning to come out, and it's when they're forced to go head to head, and a few of them are now. We'll talk about, the Schlur and the Tingle Creek and the path for the horses Nubia Negra, but there's only a handful of races that those horses can run in, so they are forced to meet. And Energumene obviously can stay over in Ireland. Just hope he's over everything that went on last year. But yeah, I think it's tongue in cheek there from Nicky. I'm not sure he'd ever run Shishkin against Energumene. He'd just constantly take it out on the morning.
The big blows from Richard Hoiles on this Wednesday evening.
I've got one of Nicky's, and there's Dark Horse, and he's left it out, which I reckon is great news for me.
Which one was that?
Craig Nesh, who's going novice chasing. He ran really well at the festival, and actually, both the Harrys would have ridden against the horse and came a long way in quite a short space of time. He didn't make a racecourse for quite a while. Yeah, he's a nice horse. Could
he rank highly novice chasing this season?
I reckon so. I mean, you've got more novice handicaps, which I think is what Harry was really pointing to with, third time lucky and what have you. It's very difficult if you have a high-rated horse to get them up and going. Was that what you're meaning, Harry? There's not that many novices now, are there? Plain novices.
Yeah, it's basically they've cut the novice chases because they want you to run in a handicap and have a bigger field. So, you've got a bigger field, more runners, more betting, and yeah, I mean, it's not. Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, Ben will be able to answer this a little bit better, but it's not ideal. There's literally. I mean, here you go. Race planning. 5th of November, Warwick 2 mile chase. 17th of November, Warwick 2 mile chase. So you got 2 mile chases. I think there's possibly 1 or 2 2.5 mile novice chases the whole month of November, and then you're up to the Paddy Power meeting again, where they're forcing you down a road that is, it's a big question to go around Cheltenham the first time. It's not very helpful for the owners. I mean, and the trainers. So Ben would be able to answer it a little bit better than I would.
No, it is something that is becoming very apparent, and you quite often get an owner, saying where are you going to start, and you give them where you think they might go, and they often say, can we not start somewhere smaller? And they, as Harry's pointed out, there aren't the opportunities. But the most frustrating thing about this time of the year, and it probably won't happen as much this year because we are getting bits and bobs of rain, is all these novice chasers, especially, but novice hurdlers as well. If we keep avoiding quick ground, they get more and more congested come sort of middle of November, and you actually see some seriously competitive novice hurdles that you'll look back at the form in 3-4 months' time, and you'll have horses finishing 2nd, 3rd, and 4th that line up in Grade 1s later in the season because they might not be ready on their first outing, but they're very competitive. And it's the 2.5 mile sort of 2.3 to 2.5 novice hurdles as well. There's not anywhere near as many as there are over 2 miles because so many people just are out to get a mark, and they're running them every week in 2 mile novices. So it is a bit of an issue, but the novice handicaps is a problem for a lot of people that have got nice horses to get out.
It is a problem, but it's not a problem for viewers and National Hunt enthusiasts because we get to see some good clashes early on in the season. And let's move on to some of the big races this side of the new year. And the first one we're going to talk about is the Schlur Chase, and Put the Kettle On won the race last year. Here is a VT of her doing just that.
2 out then. Duke de Ginevra, big leap, got over that well and moves down towards the last in good style. Defy de Sour's a little untidy in 3rd place. Put the Kettle On, she's coming strongly back into 2nd position now. Duke de Ginevra over the last. Defy de Sour is pulled up. It's Duke de Ginevra leading. Put the Kettle On though is closing on him. She's only a length behind as they enter the closing stages. The grey Duke de Ginevra in front. Put the Kettle On in 2nd place. Now she's in 1st, and it's 3 from 3 in a row for her here. Put the Kettle On has won again at Cheltenham. Duke de Ginevra in 2nd position. Riders on the Storm moving up to the line to claim 3rd money.
Harry, you were on Duke de Ginevra that day. You probably didn't need reminding with that VT. How good is Put the Kettle On? She obviously went and then won a champion chase, so she is clearly very, very good. But what's her main qualities? What makes her difficult to beat?
I suppose she's just a real hardy little, isn't she? I'd say she win a 0 to 120 handicap chase the same way she probably win a Grade 1. She's not the sort of filly that's going to go and win by half the track, is she? She only does as much as she has to do. But yeah, I suppose her biggest credit would be how tough she is.
Harry Skelton, you were behind her on Nube Negra in the champion chase. Did you ever think that I can take her, and you were surprised at the ability that she's had?
No, she's got a lot of experience, and she's a very good mare. And you're giving her £7. It's an awful lot from a good mare. It's all right giving an average mare £7, but giving a top class mare £7, it is a massive, massive swing. If they're good enough, they're good enough, and she's good enough, and she's very tough as well. So I'm just going to go back to your last question, Josh, about these big clashes early on in the season. How do you think it sets us up to be prepared for the festival come March, when our good horses are taking each other on in November? How do you think that puts us in a position for March?
You put me on the spot here. I wouldn't know. I think all I know is from a racing enthusiast looking at it, it's exciting seeing good novices go up against each other early on in the season. And no complaints from me. I obviously can understand why it would be difficult for you. I'm going to go back to Harry Cobden.
I've got another question.
Can I answer that? Let me answer it.
Harry Cobden, you answer it.
I'll answer it. Let me answer it.
I've got another question.
Go on.
And with the preparation towards March, how do you feel of the preparation for the Irish horses when there's more opportunity to run in beginners chases and novice chases before Christmas?
I think that's a point very well made. I'm going to pass it over to my right-hand man, Harry Cobden, to answer this one.
Well, my opinion is we take each other on and we give each other hard races. And by the time March comes, we've had probably 3 or 4 real hard runs, and the horses are a little bit tired. I don't know what Harry Skelton thinks about it.
Do you not think that we should possibly, Henrietta Knight got an awful lot of stick for running best mate 3 times a year to win 3 Gold Cups in a row. Willie Mullins has trained his Gold Cup winner 2 years ago very similarly, didn't quite pull it off. But do you not think, I'm Harry, I'm with you. We aren't setting ourselves up for an easy task come March, but we as trainers and jockeys are probably going to have to be a little bit more selective if they're not going to change the programme book, so we're not killing each other week in, week out.
Well, also, when you get to Cheltenham, you get thumped by the Irish.
Wow.
Well, absolutely. I actually think Henrietta Knight just set a trend. She got, like you say, Ben, she got so much stick for running that horse 3 times a year, but actually all she did was map it out in the best possible way she could. And she actually just set a trend. She, those real top horses, they kept them, fresh for the festival. A lot of them come in the back of, a lot of those Irish horses come into the festival at the back of 3 runs. Over here, you take each other on because there's not much opportunity early on in the season. Have hard races, and I don't want to bring it up, but I will. And that's exactly what my brother was saying. They are better prepared come the festival because they have easier prep races and they have fresher horses.
And sorry, Josh, just quickly on Harry's point. Harry, is that why the Dublin Racing Festival works? Because if you like, you've been avoiding each other until that point, because you don't necessarily want to go there having 1 free race that fires on and never come off the bridle. Is that why it works? You sort of bring it to the boil gradually, and the Dublin Racing Festival hits the spot 5 or 6 weeks, sharpens them up, gives them competitive. As Harry was saying, you haven't had 4 competitive races, but you've had at least 1.
Yeah, for sure. I think you can only keep a racehorse at its peak for the best it can be is, I'd say, for probably a maximum of 6 weeks. You physically cannot keep it there for much longer to be absolutely the top of its game. And if you're asking, for that peak to come before Christmas or around Christmas time, it's a long time to keep them, to hold them on. And we're running in deep ground all the way through January. And the Dublin Racing Festival has such fantastic prize money that you want your horses, without doubt, to be going there to be racing for that money, and then on to the festival. You look through all those novices last year, and I don't think not one of them made their debut before the end of November.
The Dublin Racing Festival has become a brilliant feature in the Irish racing calendar. Would you be welcome for an English version of that, Harry?
Yeah, I think, listen, more prize money, more racing, the better. Of course, I'm for that. But I think it'll be, if they do it, it'll want to be at the right track on the right ground, and you definitely don't want it at the wrong place, because if your horse are having too hard a race before Cheltenham, then you're not going to leave too much in the cupboard for when you get there. And I'll be honest, like people say, there's a lot of racing outside of Cheltenham and good prize money. Of course there is, but for me as a jockey, there's no other place to win it like there is at Cheltenham. You go there and have your winner at the festival. It is the best feeling there is, and I want to be competitive there. I want to win there, and I'd give 10 winners to have a winner there. It is that important, and I think it's fantastic that Cheltenham is so big. We should have that, and we should all, that's where it should be. It should be competitive like that, and we should all turn up there, and it's our Olympics. So I think it should have that gloss of it.
It is a very interesting subject and something we could probably talk all day about. Moving back to the big races before Christmas, there's Death and Taxes and Bristol and May winning the Betfair Chase. It looks likely that we'll have a strong field for it this year with Champ, Royal Pagaille, Native River, Next Destination, Clutard, Imperial Aura waiting patiently, all rumoured to run in the race. Let's just go back and watch Bristol de May's win in the race last year.
Is the last of the ditches, Bristol de May, by only 3 parts of a length. Daryl Jacob glances across to his left. He should have looked right, because Sam Twiston-Davis has brought Clanders-Obo on the near side, right alongside, heading towards the second last in the Betfair Chase. Clanders-Obo serves it up to Bristol de May, but the grey is plucky and he still just had the lead. And now Clanders-Obo has to be ridden. They're miles clear of Lost in Translation, and it's Bristol de May who's pulled out a bit more, approaching the final fence, moving on. He jumps it well, he gets over it 4 clear from Clanders-Obo, now running on instinct. They've got half a furlong to cover, and it's Bristol de May. Clanders-Obo trying hard, but he isn't getting any closer, and it's the silver-coated king of Haydock, Bristol de May, who regains his Betfair crown. Clanders-Obo in second, a long break to Keeper Hill, who's scrapping it out for third with Lost in Translation. Lost in Translation will just cling on to third from Keeper Hill, and Bells Hill will be last to get round.
He is such a warrior. Ben, I'm going to come to you. What makes Bristol de May so effective around Haydock? And if you had a runner in the race, what would be the instructions to the jockey to go out and try and beat him?
Well, I think he's just very well suited to the track. When he gets into a rhythm, flat left-handed track, he just is really quite effective. I also think he's trained for the race every year. It's become his race, so that is his Gold Cup. And I don't think anyone associated with the horse would probably differ with you or argue against it. But I think, look, he is getting older, and you think you might have a little bit of a turn of foot if you're on a classy youngster to try and nab him, because I don't think taking him on is necessarily the way to do it. But he's a fabulous horse. He's been incredible for Simon Isaac and the team at Nigel's. It takes a lot to get a horse to appear in a race of that caliber in the form they produce him every single year. It's genius. And then from then on, he goes Cotswold Chase, and then if it's wet, he goes Gold Cup and maybe Grand National or something like that. But we all know what Bristol does, and he's a very good horse at Haydock.
He is a fantastic horse. Harry Skelton, there's some nice horses that are rumoured to run in the race this year. Champ, Royal Pagaille, Native River, Next Destination, who will try and get a word from Harry Cobden on. Clutard coming over from Ireland, Imperial Aura waiting patiently. Out of all of those other than Bristol de May, if you could take a spare, which one would it be?
@+dad.
Is that purely for the second in the Gold Cup?
Yeah, obviously second to the Gold Cup, but obviously they've got their sights on the bonus. He will probably go there, Kempton Gold Cup. So they must think he's improved, improving enough to be worthy of that. And that's hard. That's hard to do. Come over here 3 times in the season, but I presume that'll be their route.
Henry de Bromhead does have an embarrassment of riches. Richard Hoiles, looking at that field, it gets the hairs stood up on my arms already, and just thinking about it. Which one would you fancy to take the Betfair Chase crown this season?
I mean, the ground is really important, and the thing about Haydock, as Kirkland always tells me when he changes it from good to soft to heavy, is that it goes very quickly one way or the other. And he's right. If you do look, Haydock, if it rains on the build up to a race, the ground can change significantly. I think actually what I'd like to see early on in the season, because Ben's dead right, you need, when you're punting in particular, and Harry Skelton sort of reinforced it in the fact that you're building up to certain things with certain horses. We'll be chatting about Newbie Negra, for example, and you don't turn up trying to nick the Schlur because you've got higher aspirations. So you do need to think what horses might be trained for, and Ben's bang on with Bristol de Mai. What I'd like to see is a heavy ground race with Bristol de Mai and Royal Pagaille in it. Because I think Royal Pagaille is potentially, he reminds me of old Twin Oaks from years ago. Deep ground, not the same jumping test, Haydock. You do just need to keep galloping. Harry Kane looks like he was going to win on Flanders Oboe last year. But again, you're probably thinking of King George with him. He might, just been a gallop or two short, because you don't have him cherry right first time out. So I'd like deep ground Bristol de Mai. I'd like Royal Pagaille in those conditions. It needs to be those conditions to turn up. That'd be quite fun.
That would be a mouth-watering clash. Harry Cobden, are you looking for next destination as your ride in the Betfair Chase?
Yeah, obviously Paul's going to go straight to the King George with Clan this year, so next destination's going to step in there. He'd want the ground soft, definitely want it soft. He's a proper stayer, and I don't think we've seen the best of him. He ran very well at the festival last year. He finished second. Galvin beat him. Well, Galvin hasn't done anything wrong since then. All he's done is improve, and I think he's probably won his last 6 or 7. So I'd say the form's fairly rock solid. And whether he's good enough to win, I'm not sure, but he's definitely there with a chance, and I'd be more than happy to line up on him.
From one Grade 1 3-mile chase to another in the King George, and let's have a look at Frodon winning it last year.
And it's Frodon. He's got many of them working in behind now. He leads by nearly 2 lengths to St. Calvados in second. Can he stay the trip? Clan des Oboe has been off the bit for a long time, but he's hanging on in there. He doesn't want to see his crown go. Pulled up Surname at the back of the field. Lost in Translations also been pulled up. They're over the third from home, and Frodon still has the lead to St. Calvados, and then Clan des Oboe waiting patiently from a long way back. 2 out in the King George, and Frodon still has the lead with Bryony Frost. The lead is about 2.5 lengths to St. Calvados. Waiting patiently, begins to fly in the hands of Brian Hughes. Has he got enough time to beg back Frodon? Frodon over the final fence, led by 3 lengths. Waiting patiently, he's running out of time inside the final half furlong. Frodon is out in front for his biggest prize of all. Frodon has taken the King George. Waiting patiently in second, followed home by Clan des Oboe, St. Calvados and Santini.
He's truly captured the imagination of the racing world through many years of top performances, year in, year out. I can imagine you're looking forward to that one, Richard Hoiles.
Yeah, I think that Frodon will seem to best effect. I'd be very surprised actually, and these things come back to bite you. But I think that will prove to be the pinnacle. I think the King George is. We've heard from Harry that Clan des Oboe will go directly there. I think that probably will suit him. Allaho is very interesting. His jumping was so good at Cheltenham that you could see him getting into a rhythm. Kempton as well, and then you've probably got the likes, potentially one of the Irish big guns coming over, like Manillo Indo or something like that. It depends how that fits into their calendar and what they want to do. Frodon is absolutely admirable, has always punched above his weight, has always continued to surprise, but I think things worked out perfectly there. And we seem to have lost the other Harry for the moment, but Harry, waiting patiently, of course, has moved to Christian Williams. You've come up against plenty of Christian's horses in the last 12 months or so. That's the sort of horse that really could just, I won't say get him going. He's got a lot of horses, but his buying power's improving. You want a high-profile horse that gets you into that sort of race. You know, when Dan was starting out, it was the same. You can win lots of races, but you want a, you know, proper big race horse. He's very interesting for Christian.
Yeah, for sure. Very talented horse on his day. Obviously, he, you know, it's for everyone to see that he's obviously been a bit fragile, and they've had to sort of, you know, tread carefully with him. But no, he's a very high class horse, and I'm sure Christian and his team are, you know, very excited about having him.
Next, let's have a look at Fergal's horses to follow. Fergal O'Brien now merged with McPherson, the O'Brien McPherson duo. And there we are on the graphic there. Fergal O'Brien's horses to follow. 3 surefire winners: City Derby, Imperial Alcazar, Pecking Rose, and he's got 2 dark horses: Hidden Beauty, Pull Again Green, and one he'd like to train, Bob Ollinger. I'm not sure any trainer would turn down Bob Ollinger. Would you, Ben?
No, I certainly wouldn't. I mean, it was quite extraordinary. Both Harrys will be able to vouch for the fact that it was quite concerning how at the last festival the Irish novices seemed to be doing a half speed to our sort of decent clip, and Bob Ollinger looks a seriously smart horse. And just while we're on that subject, I was going to say Harry might agree that a lot of the Irish better grade ones in preparation are run at a much more sedate pace than we run our better races at. So ours are sort of end-to-end proper tests, whereas a lot of these sort of graded races in Ireland are run at a much slower speed, and that's probably down to the jockeys. Is it, Harry?
Yeah, jockeys and jockeys' instructions.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, you know, in Ireland, what you don't really tend to get in Ireland is if there's one making the running at a strong gallop, you don't really get another one in the novice events. You don't really get another one taking him on. Do you know what I mean? They're happy for a leader, and you got someone then who's happy to sit second. But in England, yeah, I mean, they're always run end-to-end gallop.
I wonder if the lack of, you know, when I was working back at Cheltenham, you do tend to forget quite quickly how small those field sizes were for those sort of races, Jockey Bob Ollingers and what have you. Whilst those outsiders that run in that race don't necessarily be there at the finish, I presume from a jockey's point of view, Harry, it livens it up, doesn't it? They want their day in the sun and they can cart you along, and you can lose your rivals in the field. It's probably a lot easier if you're on a, you know, a fancied horse in a 7-runner field than you are on a fancied horse in a 14-runner field.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. You know, like you said, some of them probably want their bit of light in the sun, but you know, it's serious stuff when you get to Cheltenham. You don't really want to be tracking one almost. You want to be tracking the right ones, not the wrong ones.
All 3 of you will be training or riding some seriously exciting horses this season. But before we go into those stable stars, Harry Skelton, you might want to watch this one. It's a BT of your brilliant season last year.
Here's the last. All Mankind, another solid jump. All Mankind, maybe the stride shortening a little bit. Hitman's trying hard, but he can't get there. All Mankind is keeping on well enough and wins a vintage Henry VIII Novices Chase. Good job by Politolog, and racing up the hill is the Queen Mother Champion Chase winner, Politolog, drawing clear, 6-7 lengths clear of Grenadine, and Politolog wins his 2nd single creek.
Virtually name the distance here for Harry and Dan Skelton. My Drogo, a smart prospect, takes another step up in class and lands the Betway Mersey in fine style.
A fantastic season, Harry, and we're going to have a quick scan through some of your leading hopes this season. We don't need to go into too much detail, but I'm sure the viewers will be keen to know how the horses are at home. We'll start with My Drogo. How's he schooled over fences, and when can we expect to see him out?
Yeah, he's been schooling nicely, and I would have thought he'd probably make his debut over fences somewhere in November. Ground dependent, obviously, but there's not that many options for him. Like I said, there's a race at Warwick on the 5th over 2 miles. It'll definitely have to be soft to be starting in there. I think there's maybe a couple of novice chases that he could run in before the Paddy Power meeting. So we're yet to be decided where he's going to make his debut, but he's fitting well at home and been schooling nicely.
Seriously exciting horse for the new season. All Mankind made his seasonal reappearance at Chepstow a couple of weeks ago. He runs in the Old Roan. Has that always been the target?
Yeah, we just thought that race suit him well. 2.5 miles flat track. Had a run at Chepstow. Ran really well actually under top weight. He's got top weight again in the Old Roan. It's going to be a big ask. We're under no illusion of how tough it's going to be. It looks a good race. We'll be giving weight to good horses, but he's had a run that'll be in his favour, and he's a very, very tough horse. So I expect him to run very well.
And then Nube Negrush, he won't run in the Schlur Chase. He'll go to, you say, either Sandown or Kempton.
Yeah, he will either start off in the Tingle Creek or wait and go to Kempton for the Desert Orchid. Just ground dependent, really. Sandown, if it come up very testing, we might just want to wait and go to Kempton, then to the Champion Chase, and then probably the Celebration.
And then one more I do need to ask about is LA Bell. Seriously exciting bumper horse from last year. She goes novice hurdling. How does she school at home? And like my Drogo, when can we expect to see her?
Yeah, she's very well, done plenty of jumping. Obviously, she was good last year in bumpers, just learning her trade, really. You'd see a lot of our bumper horses ridden in the way that she had been ridden. That first year is very important for them. But she's been schooling really well, and yeah, she's a high-class mare. Got a lot of natural ability, and she will be out as soon as the ground is soft enough.
Serious firepower in the Skelton yard. Ben, before we talk about your string, we've got some pictures of your new yard that are coming on screen. There we go. It looks beautiful. When are you expecting to move in?
We're looking to move in hopefully around the beginning of December. Things are taking a little bit longer to get ready than we first thought, with steel shortages and except other various factors. But yeah, it's coming along really well now. They're doing a fabulous job, and we're looking forward to getting in, really.
It looks brilliant. I'm definitely going to have to somehow wangle my way into a stable visit there. It looks brilliant. Is it on a golf course?
Yeah, we bought a golf course back in January 2020, just in Naunton, about 10 miles from Cheltenham, and it was an opportunity that Soph and I both thought we could sort of run two ventures from. We've integrated the gallops within the golf course. The main hill gallop goes up through the tree line in the middle, but we've got the schooling lanes, the round gallops, and all the rest of it away from it. But no, it's exciting. It's a bit of a dream to have our own yard and our own facilities of that sort of caliber. So it's a big year for us, and we're looking forward to it.
Let's focus on some of the horses that will be filling those boxes at the new yard. Le Broy being the first. How could he be campaigned this season?
He's a bit tricky, really. He's I really do think he left a lot of the last couple of years at Cheltenham in that 4-miler. I mean, he's very brave that day, and it's taken a long time. And to me, he's an outright national horse, but maybe he's just getting a little bit old. But he could, we're running him in a handicap pre-Christmas, and then we've got obviously the veterans chases, or we could even look at maybe popping him into some hunter chases and looking towards the hunter chase route come Aintree, because he's got plenty of life left in him. But to be winning a national, you need to be thrown well handicapped, and to be well handicapped off 144 or 146 to get in now is getting quite hard. So yeah, he's a great horse. He's been phenomenal for us, and we a lot to thank him for. But yeah, it might be a bit of an alternative route this year.
Brilliant servant for the yard. Your Darling made his very impressive chasing debut a couple of weeks ago. How far can he rise? Because he looked way ahead of his handicap mark.
Yeah, I think he was very much ahead of his handicap mark. We certainly didn't go out to handicap him. He just wasn't quite right last season, had a little bit of a wind issue that we put right mid-season, and then he went and won at Huntingdon at the end of the year. But he's always been a horse that's promised plenty. His jumping is exceptional, and I think it'll put him in good stead. But He only went up £8 for that, so there's probably a couple handicap or two in him before we see him in novice company, probably in the spring.
And the Cob was probably your leading light last year, winning the River Don Novices Hurdle, the Grade 2 up at Doncaster. Will he stay hurdling or will he go chasing this season?
No, we're looking to go chasing. He probably might start, if it doesn't come a little bit too quick, the 4th of November in the 2 mile 6 novice chase at Newbury. Prime example there of trying to find a easy starting place for them. I'm sure Nicky's got something nice to take us on with, but you know, it's he's a nice horse. He went from strength to strength last year through handicaps, and then obviously won a decent novice. Probably wasn't right at Cheltenham, and then the ground went too quick at Aintree. We didn't run him, but hopefully he can take another step forward. And I think sort of extended 3 mile trips will be the future for him.
Another horse in the yard, Raf Tavel, who you mentioned to me last year. He had good form in France coming over. He finished behind the likes of James de Burley. Did it take a year to settle in, and could we expect maybe a different horse this season, or presumably is that just how good he is?
No, I very much hope that he'll take a big step forward this year. He did everything nicely last year at home, but probably a little bit active and almost a bit enthusiastic at home, always doing a bit too much maybe, but he didn't really shine. And I've not had that many French horses, and the ones I have had previously, you know, they have seemed to have acclimatized quite quickly, but a lot of people that have an awful lot of them, including Willie and people alike, you know, do feel that they really do take a year to settle in sometimes. And I must admit, he seems in great form at home, and hopefully we can pick up some of his French form and go from strength to strength this season.
I'm seriously looking forward to him. Richard, which horses should the viewers definitely be keeping their eye on this season?
Well, I'll cross over and ask Ben for one as well, because shake him up, Harry. Is he going chasing? Because he's always looked to me as a, you know, those fantastic cliche about bonus over hurdles, but he always looks as if he's tailor-made for chasing.
Yeah, I really hope so. I mean, he's probably, you know, only won at Foss Lass over hurdles, but he's run second to Shiskin. He was second in the Tolworth. You know, he's been a very decent horse over hurdles, but he's always looked a chaser, and I must admit his jumping has been really quite smart at home. And I'll be pretty careful where I start him off. He's a horse that doesn't need over campaigning. You know, he's a big raw horse, and he's still going to strengthen up. So I hope to get him out a couple of times between, you know, now and Christmas, and that might be the last you see of him until the spring, if you know, if all goes well. But I do hope he can feature in some decent novice chases come the end of the season. But he's very good on soft ground. He wouldn't be so good on sort of quick spring ground. So we'd need a bit of rain.
So he'd be one, Josh. I liked him. Craig Nesh, I've already mentioned. 3 others do start from Nicky Henderson's, who we didn't see much of. One impressively first time out, and then I think set back before Cheltenham, 3rd at Aintree. Again, you know, with Nicky's not so expecting to see them lots of times, so it might not be one for your 10 to follow, but I think he's got a big engine, and he looks pretty smart. The Glancing Queen of Alan King's to score a couple of maiden chases, one a point to point, and jumped really well at watching the replays from the festival, just to remind me of some of those races. Got going a little bit late in the day. She's going chasing as well. It's actually probably a bit easier to place a mare of her sort of handicap mark than it actually is to place one of the others. So she has a few more options. Alan was talking about Bangor if the rain arrived, which it probably has done the last 24 hours, but she should be able to get to Cheltenham nicely plotted with some experience. And closer to hand for a Cheltenham race, Mastered, who ran out of puff in one of the handicaps, but David Pipe immediately, or in one of the stable tours, highlighted the race that Ramses de Tay won in November as a route for Remastered. And one for Harry Skelton, actually, you can probably tell me, Alnadam sort of struck me as one of those horses that can win one of those 2.5 mile, 2 mile 5 on softer ground at Cheltenham. Is that ideal for him? He didn't quite look to get home over 3 mile one.
Yeah, he did well last year. some soft ground handicaps, winning at Sandown, then ran well at Cheltenham, just didn't quite get home. So I think the Caspian Caviar might be on the cards for him. Loves soft ground.
So they'd be my sort of short list of horses that are, aren't the obvious ones, if you like, but might be of interest in the next few months.
A good list. I'm sure viewers will be very keen to jot those down. Harry Cobden, we keep getting you in and out. Montmirail, is he in good order?
Yeah, he's really good. I actually schooled him. When did I school him? Probably 10 days ago. He's in really good form. He jumped great. He looks like he's improved physically. So yeah, one that we're all very excited about. And I'm not sure where Paul's. Well, I don't think Paul's 110% worked out where he's going to start him yet, but it could possibly be a fighting fifth.
Do you think he does have the credentials to be a champion hurdle horse?
He wouldn't. I don't think he's fast enough for a good ground champion hurdle anyway. Possibly a soft ground champion hurdle, he might have a chance, but I suppose he's in one of those years where he's sort of a 4-year-old now, isn't he? And you either go chasing, and then what you do is when you're a 5-year-old, because he's going to go and win a chase, isn't he? So he's either going to have to step right up and he's going to be in big boy class, or do we go sort of herding this year and hopefully he's a bigger and stronger and better horse when he goes chasing next year. But he's certainly got plenty of class about him. I wouldn't know how good he is.
One horse who I have not got to the bottom to, Brave Man's Game. How did he feel at Newton Abbot? Because that was, first of all, a big statement, I thought, from Paul to run him in that race. He could have easily, he clearly couldn't have found a small run, a novice race. He went for that intermediate chase, and he was mightily impressive. You must have got some spin off him.
Yeah. I mean, he was fantastic, wasn't he? Jumped every fence perfectly. He's got scope. He can pop away. He just does everything really. And he actually, for such a big horse, he's pretty fast as well. So yeah, he's got a lot of things going for him, isn't he? I'm not sure what race we're gonna sort of aim him at yet, sort of in March. But I mean, he's got speed for 2.5, and he stays 3 miles. So he's just a classy animal, and I suppose I'm lucky to have a fair bit to do with him.
Seriously exciting horse, like many for the upcoming jump season. Christian Williams, who we were speaking about earlier, has also got some horses for us to list this season.
3 horses to follow this season from my own stable are Kitty's Light, for obvious reasons. He runs so well on the weekend. Go for the Hennessy now. We'll have an entry in the Charlie Hall. It's an exciting horse. Waiting patiently, running the big races. Start off with Betfair Chase, showing us plenty at home. He's exciting, and so can't leave Potter's Corner out. Couldn't quite get him right last year, but he's trained well up until now. We look forward to starting him off at Jockey Club Racecourse on Sunday, Aintree in the Veterans Chase, and a horse from another yard. I'll go across the Irish Sea, Bob Ollinger. Look forward to watching Bob Ollinger this year in novice chases.
There we have it, a brilliant hour discussing the upcoming National Hunt season and the showcase meeting at Cheltenham this week. You can get the best price tickets for the Cheltenham Festival before the 15th of November. And don't miss After Hours with Chris Hughes with all the behind the scenes gossip and catch up from each day of the November meeting around 5 p.m. on the Jockey Club social media channels. And if you do want to go to the November meeting, make sure you do. Everything from fantastic racing to free countryside activities. The Giddis Village, Chris Stark is DJing on the Friday after racing, and there's free family fun with TV character Bing on Sunday. I'm sure my little sister will massively appreciate that. So don't forget to book those tickets online. And thank you, all 4 of you, very much. And if you're watching, see you on Friday at Cheltenham at the Racecourse on ITV or on Racing TV. Thank you very much.
The 2 leading riders of the season locked together in the championship. Putting distance between himself and weary rivals, by Trogo, a big horse with a big future for Harry and pinches the prize off the mantelpiece. The double for Jamie Hamilton. Halcyon Days has won it. All action here. All Mankind wins the Kingmaker.
Goshen cruising to victory in the Betway Kingwell Hurdle.
I cherish Liverpool and that wonderful Grand National Week.
Not a chance. Wins the Warwick Classic.
It's been Irish winner after Irish winner.
Honeysuckle climbed right to the top and won the Unibet Champion Hurdle.
A fifth Cheltenham Festival success for Tiger Roll.
The emphatic winner, the brilliant winner, Allaho.
Put the kettle on will win. The Queen Mother. Flat out. Vanilla Indo wins the Gold Cup. Henry de Bromhead wins the Holy Trinity of big races. Something no other trainer has ever done.
For the 2020 Randox Grand National.
Up front, it's cloth cap on the inside of
Jet and Samway Cohen in a clear lead.
Manila Times is handy in the green, and it's Jet that continues.
Jet about to be joined by Manila Times.
But it's Rachel Blackmore and Meadow are out 4 lengths clear of Balco de Flo at any second. Manila Times for J.P. Manus and more significantly Rachel Blackmore. History International, Manila Times wins.
Put your hands together for Rachel Blackmore.